You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
Yes, indeed. Good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and P. Martinique once again. It is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott.
I'm Devon Romain.
Yes, indeed. And
why did you stop the music? Some people be asking that, eh? Sweet pan music in the morning. Good morning, Grenada.
So take it back and let that run and then stop.
Yeah, give it a,
Okay. So we go let our one run and then we will come.
It's a beautiful morning.
Yeah.
Could do that.
Yes, indeed, folks. It is Hard Talk. We're live on 97.5 City Sound FM.
89.5 CRFM.
92.9. Yeah, out there is Sister Isles, Carriacou.
And 94.9 We Vibes Radio in Brooklyn, New York. And yeah, it's Hard Talk. We just start off with some beautiful pan music.
Yeah, we go hear all who like pan.
Yeah. According to one person, pan purges the evil spirits loitering around.
Yeah.
Sweet pan music.
And we'll try to keep it up. Not every morning you're going to get it, but we're going to play it in and between. Sometimes when you don't hear it for a little while, we'll just surprise you and drop it on you again. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And this morning, we will be discussing the issue of the Caribbean Court of Justice. We will be having a guest in studio with us. He's not yet arrived. He messaged me quite a while ago to say that he was late. Because he was at one appointment and it ran over time. But he will be here in studio with us and we'll be discussing the Caribbean Court of Justice. But in between, so yesterday we had those meetings. Thursday, just to let you know, the constituency meetings coming up on Thursday. We have in Carriacou, the Honorable Kindra Mathurin Stewart and her team. They'll be meeting with the residents out there in Brunswick at the Golden Rock Club. St. Andrew Southeast, that's the Honorable Emlyn Pear. She'll be at the Marquee Basketball Court with her team. Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, he'll be in Mount Moritz in Northwest St. George on Thursday from 6 p.m. And in St. Patrick East, the Honorable Pamela Moses, she'll be in River Sally at the Government School from 6 p.m. So those are the meetings for Thursday, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is, that is tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
So tomorrow.
Yes,
so Carriacou, Petit Martinique, they'll be in Brunswick at the Golden Rock Club. Marquee at the basketball court, Mount Moritz. Didn't say specifically where in Mount Moritz. I believe it might be at the school or where. I'm not sure.
School,
Usually it is. And River Sally Government School. So those meetings will be taking place. Oh, and how to put it as, always miss it out. St. George Southeast, the Honorable Gregory Boyne. He'll be at the Marian Multipurpose Center for 6 p.m. tomorrow as well. So those of you in Monjalou, good morning, Miss Clytie. Yeah, oil long go down bad. Yeah, that oil long. Oh gosh, ain't lying to tell you, you know. Yeah, so St. George Southeast, Miss Bernice, Miss Clytie, all of you all, yeah, nice. The Honorable Gregory Boyne, he'll be down at the Marian Multipurpose Center. That'll be taking place tomorrow from 6 p.m. So those in Marian and surrounding areas, you can attend that meeting. All right, nice. On Saturday, St. Andrew Northeast and St. Andrew Northwest, they'll be at the Paradise Preschool. That's the Honorable Delma Thomas and Honorable Kate Lewis. St. David, they'll be in Corinth at the Government School. St. George Northeast, the Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell and Honorable Tobias Clement, they'll be at First Choice School in Tempe, Mount Parnassus. Carriacou, Petit Martinique, they'll be at the Petit Martinique RC School, and St. George Southeast and St. George South, they'll be in Calavini. And there were some meetings yesterday. And from all intents and purposes, some good meetings would have taken place yesterday. So we're in holding pattern, waiting for our guests to arrive. But in the interim, you feel we could give them a nice little piece?
And let me just give the fogging schedule.
Yeah, get the fogging and then we'll give some music.
The continued fogging schedule. And so for the rest of this week, yesterday, we had the members of the Ministry of Health, and so the fogging team, as you call them, right? They were in Blaze, including Upper St. John's and the environment. That's in St. Andrews. Today, Wednesday, the 12th of September, St. John, St. Andrew, and its environment at 5 p.m. The fogging team will be in your area. Thursday, the 13th of September, Carrier, St. John's, and Carrier, St. Andrews. And its environs, right, at 5 p.m. Also today, Wednesday, right, there will be a drum covering demonstration, right? They are meeting in front of Carl's shop at Upper St. John, right, today at 5 p.m. So in addition to the fogging and so, right, there will be a drum covering demonstration by the members of the Ministry of Health, demonstrating to you how best you can cover the big drums, and so that you have to collect the water and so forth. And it's very, very important as to how this is being done, right? That is to ensure that no mosquito gets in to breed and so. So be there, all in the surrounding area of St. John, Carrier, St. Andrews, and so today and tomorrow, right? Be a part of that. Okay, so that's from the Ministry of Health, the Chief Environmental Officer.
Yes, indeed. All right, and oh boy, and Courtney, yeah, accept our sympathy. Yeah, we know that your father would have passed away yesterday. He used to sell newspapers in Grenville. A gentleman that used to sell newspapers in Grenville. So do accept our sympathy, my dear. And, for you, Twinkle, the entire family, we hope that you all stay strong.
He used to sell newspaper, not a dark.
You the Grenville man.
Yeah,
you
I
gotta
know
tell
one
me.
man that he used to. But anyway, I'll find out.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to two soldiers, two fighters. Yeah, former parliamentarian, Honorable Joseph Gilbert. Yeah, he's celebrating today. Yeah, happy birthday to you,
Uncle
my
Joe.
friend, Uncle Joe. Right out there in St. Patrick's. Yeah, and Andrew Steele. Good morning, my friend. Happy birthday to you. All right. Hey, we hope that you guys will have a wonderful day today. Okay.
Yeah, and so far we've been monitoring the different systems out there. None of them pose a threat to Grenada. None of them. Contrary to what you have been hearing from some people and who passing out all kind of voice note with all sorts of nonsense. None of the tropical systems out there pose a threat to the state of Grenada. None of them. Zero, zilch, zot. At this time, none of them. Yeah. Hurricane Isaac is sort of barreling towards Dominica, Guadeloupe, and those sort of areas and so. Yeah, and even it's a small hurricane. So even the feeder bands do not extend as far down as to Grenada in a sense to cause any set of, it might have one or two clouds summit pass down here. But not to the extent that it's going to cause any serious amounts of rain and lightning and thunder and wind and so on, as some people are saying. It is a small system with hurricane winds extending roughly around 10 miles out. And it is forecast that it will be weakening by later today into tonight as it's about to make landfall tomorrow. It should be weakening.
You see, anytime you put a man between two big women, you know what happened to him, right?
He gained squash.
That happened to Isaac. Isaac between Florence and Helen, and that was it. He in trouble.
Yeah, so you having problem there.
Both of them in serious problem.
Oh, so your children father, not your father. Okay, Miss Courtney. All right, your children father, Mush. Yeah, Mushe or Mush?
Mush. Okay, yeah, that's the guy I'm talking about.
Okay, all right, not your father, your children father.
Your children father.
All right, okay.
Yes,
all right.
Sympathies to the family.
Yeah, and I'm also celebrating birthday today. Thank you, Kurt. Celebrating a birthday today is Joel Phillip, the former Olympian. He represented Grenada at the Olympics in the 400 meter before. People as only if you remember Aline Francisca and Kirani, but we had other people representing as well. Yes, so Joel Phillip represented Grenada in the 400 meter. Today is his birthday as well. Happy birthday to you, bro. All right, and hope you have a wonderful one today. Nice, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Also, happy birthday to Tavani Abraham out there in Tivoli. We know Gertrude and the entire family go make sure that you have a nice one. Yeah? Nice. Hey, the saying tropical Isaac is a storm, not hurricane. Yeah, so it's a tropical storm.
It gets squeezed.
Yeah, so it's not even a hurricane, it's a storm now. Yeah, nice.
They squeeze the life out of him.
Yeah. Well, I hope it dissipates and doesn't make landfall.
At all. Doesn't make
because I don't think our friends in Dominica can take too much of that right about time, now. Yeah, well, I don't think anybody anyway could take any of that. I wish all of them just go away. Yeah, I wish all those storms just go away.
Disintegrate and
I don't think anybody anywhere could take it. So just go away.
Good morning to all of you on the live, wherever you are. Special good morning from beautiful, beautiful Spice Country. Yeah, it's sunny. I mean, it's hot, but it's beautiful.
And just a note, remember, in case of a hurricane, Remember the 5 P's? This one coming directly from NADMA,
Yep.
right? Remember the 5 P's. People, prescriptions, papers, personal needs, and priceless items. So people, if safely, if safety possible, pets and other animals or livestock, right? So people, and if safely possible, if you can safely move them, your pets and other animals or livestock.
Then you do that.
Yeah, because next thing you're trying to find place for people to stay, and then you're looking to put your cow and all kind of thing there too. And the cow and the horse can't fit inside there and all kind of things. So
and the
if
dog,
safely,
and the dog and the cat fighting and that kind of thing. So.
So safely, dog and cat doesn't fight again. I find there's be friends these days, man. Dog and cat doesn't fight again.
In some places.
Yeah, I find dog and cat get reasonable now. Prescriptions with dosages, medicines, medical equipment, batteries or power cords, eyeglasses, and hearing aids. For instance, diabetics, you have to be very careful. So you must have your sufficient medication. And if you can have sufficient medication to last you a couple weeks, yeah? Although in the case of some diabetics who are using insulin, it must be kept at a certain temperature. So they may find themselves with a problem. That's why you may have to get a cooler and have some ice so that at least if the power goes out, you can have your medication for a couple of days. That's the diabetics who need to use insulin, which must be kept at a certain cool temperature. So you must have a cooler with some ice, because according to the cooler, I know coolers that keep ice for a couple of days,
Yeah.
A couple of days going. Yeah, and you could have a cooler that does that. So at least that you could have your medication for a couple of days, right? Because if you don't have your insulin, you know what could happen. They could have a crisis. They could end up in a coma.
Definitely.
That sort of thing. So, and also you have to be careful, especially diabetics. I know of one gentleman that died about a year after Ivan, and it was due to an injury sustained the morning of Ivan, He got through Ivan okay. A tree broke one of the windows on the place that he was staying, and he was wearing sandals, got cut the morning after Ivan. That cut never healed properly. He lost the foot, then he lost the leg, then he lost the next leg, then he died. Yeah? So just from a cut. So you have to be careful. Especially diabetics. You have to use diabetics, so you have to be careful. All right? Papers. A lot of persons right now, and a lot of folks, when they were looking for jobs and so after Ivan, sometimes they didn't have the documentation. I know of people that lost their university degrees. They couldn't find the paperwork. People lost their passports, their birth certificate, their land papers, all these sort of things. Hurricane, whatever it is coming, always try and secure these documents. And I always tell persons, get a fireproof safe. You can't go wrong. It's an investment that's going to save you a lot of time and headache. Yeah, a fireproof safe. Not too sure where it's selling right now. I know Brighton and Miners from time to time.
They have been the ones.
On Lagoon, Karani James Boulevard. From time to time, they have fireproof safes there. You can check them out and see if they have. No, you can't go there and say Sheldon sent you. That ain't going to help you.
They still have.
Right. So you can check Brighton and Miners.
I don't know which other stores that carries them, but I know them.
Yeah, I know definitely them. Purcell, I think, might have. If you check LA Purcell. I believe I saw at LA Purcell before. So you could check LA. I'm not positive, but check LA. I am not sure if Courts has them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Perhaps Ace and them, you can take a look around Ace.
But Ace is Brighton and Miners. But Ace, I know for sure that I saw it there. So you could get a safe from them. Also, my good friend Dwayne, he has a place down at the Food Fair Mall, and he sells safes as well. He has some safe with combination lock and different things that you can get. That's right at the Food Fair Mall, the place that sells outdoor gear, like hunting gear and that sort of stuff. He does sell safes as well, so you could check Dwayne, right? So your papers, it's important to have your papers and so together. It's important to have papers including important documents, hard copies and or electronic copies saved to an external hard drive or portable thumb drives. Yeah, so you could scan your documents as well and have copies of those saved to different things, right? Personal needs, such as clothes, food, water, first aid kit, cash, phones, chargers, and items for people with disabilities and others with access and or functional needs, such as older adults, children, and those with limited English proficiency. Yeah? So you need to have the things like, yeah, and you can enter. Yeah, you can come right in, man. Yeah, die not, man. Come, have a seat, man. Yes. Right. So personal needs such as clothes, food, water, that sort of thing. Personal needs. So it's important to have, no, I end up with two Devons. When I say Devon inside here, I get confused now. But anyhow, all right. We've been joined by Pastor Roche. Yes. Yeah. Nice. And we're going to be talking to CCJ in a little while. And the last one, priceless items, including things like your pictures, irreplaceable mementos, and other valuables. You could find a safe place to keep those things and them so that people could, you understand? Nice. They will have that and so. Because a lot of people lost their pictures and so after Ivan. Up to this day, I hear people still saying they lost all their pictures and so after Ivan and so on. It's not the time like when we used to have it. You have your, what do you used to call it again, boy?
Album, the photo album.
Not the photo album. The other one you used to have, you could have your negatives.
Yeah,
you could have just go and print some more. Yeah. These days.
Well, you don't have that though.
Nah, you have that. But even better though, you have it digitally.
You have it digital.
Which means you could store it online and you could always download it after and that sort of thing, which is important to do. But anyway, so just remember the 5 P's: people, prescriptions, papers, personal needs, and priceless items. That's the 5 P's of evacuation. When you're evacuating, be it a volcano, be it an earthquake, be it a whatever, remember the 5 P's.
Fire,
all right.
Whatever.
So, folks, it's now 10 minutes to 11 o'clock. We have in studio with us Pastor Devon Roche. Devon, are you saying your surname correctly?
Roche.
Get the mic a little closer to them.
Roche. And good morning.
Is that kind of French name and that the thing, man? You just tie me up when you're ready.
Yes, it is a French name that came from Concord. So sometimes it takes some getting used to. But
it's a special name.
Yes, very special, very unique. Not many persons carry this surname, but Devon would work. I guess that one would be easier for most persons.
But it go confuse me. Because when I say Devon, no, it's two all you.
Man, both of us
don't worry.
Two all is Devon Aaron.
Yes.
Yes,
Two all is Devon Aaron.
Yes.
And two French names.
Yeah.
DR and DR.
The Romain is a French.
Yeah.
And both are all from on the West Coast side then.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a St. John
Victoria.
name.
Yes, that's actually from Concord. That's
now you just St. David, man.
100%.
St. David, man. The name come from the, but the man come from St. David.
Come from St. David.
Right.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes, indeed. Folks, as we said, we're going to be discussing the issue of the Caribbean Court of Justice. And it's a very topical issue right now.
Yes.
We know that we're going to a referendum on the 6th of November. Give us a little insight. You're the representative of which organization?
The Alliance of Evangelical Churches.
Yeah.
On the advisory committee. And we have been basically following and monitoring the process and just to ensure that the public receive the information that is necessary. Of course, as the churches, we are not advocating either opposition, but I do have my own personal position on the whole context of CCJ.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us a little bit on your view on the CCJ itself.
Well, to be honest with you, Scott, I already feel that this is a very straightforward bill that we have before us. It's a very straightforward decision that our public is being asked to make. I think for many years we have heard the sentiments echoed in several quarters that we need to liberate and break the chains of colonialism. We have matured as a democracy. It has been many years since we have gotten our independence, and people have been expressing that there need to be a true sense of expression that we are truly an independent people. And as such, I think this gives us an opportunity to really put our action where our mouth is, what we have been saying for so long, to be able to express as a people that we can have a court that truly represents us as a Caribbean people. And I think when we speak of justice and justice-related matters, it is very something that's very important and straightforward. And we speak of the 3 arms of government, and this is one of the arms of government, and this allows us the opportunity to take that arm of government and to have an arm that truly represents we, the people of the region. And so I think it's a very straightforward decision that is placed before us as a people, and it allows us to express our own Caribbeanness, our own Grenadianness. So I don't think it is a very complex situation at all. It's a straightforward vote. I'm very supportive of the move, and it is something that I would love to see passed.
Now, let me ask the question there. You've been speaking with other people about it, maybe members of your congregation, your friends, family, different people in the community, because you're a person all over the place, all over
Yes.
Grenada and so on. What have been some of the feedback that you've been getting from people, both positive and negative?
Right. So I get a sense on the positive side that some people are happy that they have the opportunity for a second go at this particular bill, and there's a sense in some quarters that having a referendum on a single bill gives an opportunity to really focus and scrutinize, and persons who are supportive feel that this will give a better opportunity to have the bill pass. And I think that there are some persons who may not have initially been supportive of the CCJ, but over time, with the information that have been shared, they feel a little bit more comfortable. And for even the persons who are not supportive, I want people to know that it is okay to feel that you do not know enough, because at one stage I also felt I do not know enough, and I didn't know enough. And it took me some time. It took me doing some research. But I will say this: the more I read about the CCJ, the more I researched about how the court is financed, about the structure of the court, about the appointment of judges, which are some of the issues that people who may be opposing or not feeling comfortable enough to say that they support have as areas of concern. The more I looked at information pertaining to that, the more I was able to freely feel I can support this. Because I think that those persons who were involved in designing and coming up with a concept for the CCJ, they had a sense of brilliance in developing something that I believe can be a model for several other courts globally in the type of independence that the court have. And I can say this with no apologies, because it is a statement of facts. It's not a statement of opinion, that the structure of the CCJ proves and position the CCJ to be one of the most independent final appellate court globally, not just in the region, but globally. We look at the way the court is financed, for example, and there is no question in terms of the financing of the court that it positions the court in such a way that there can be no political interference. There can be no exertion of pressure in terms of the judgments that have to be made. You have a trust fund that is available, and the court is able to live off the interest and run off the interest of that fund. And I think that gives a sense of comfort to people, average citizens who are concerned maybe whether there will be outside influences on the court and the judgment, the decisions that the court can make. But beyond that, when you look at how judges are appointed, you have a sense of comfort that the persons who are involved in the appointment of judges come from a very wide cross-section of individuals who are not themselves appointed by any politician or such like. And those judges and persons who are involved in the appointment of judges are persons who are already versed and well qualified in the area. And so you feel you can have a level of objectivity. But not just that. Over the years that the CCJ have been functioning, you have seen rulings, you have seen how the CCJ have done its work and its business. And you have come to realize that, hey, this is a court that not just on paper it positions itself to be independent, but from what you have seen a sense of independence, right? And so I have heard some concerns in some quarters concerning whether the court can truly be independent. I've heard some concerns concerning who financed the court, because we have this saying, who pays the piper call the tune, right? And we believe that if I'm paying you, I may have an influence as to the decision that you make. Mm-hmm. But the good thing is that nobody has to pay these guys, because the money is in trust, and the disbursement of this money is not the prerogative of any politician or any other stakeholder, right? And so there's a sense of comfort that I felt as someone coming in initially who wasn't so sure about the CCJ business maybe several years ago. And the more you research, the more you follow the court, the judgment, the way it does its business, you realize, hey, this is something that we can be proud of as a Caribbean people and rally around and support, not for the good of any particular individual, but for the general good of the people of our region and of our country. And so, that's one of the concerns I've heard. We speak about access to justice. And if you're speaking about access to justice, average people, and that's one of the concerns people speak about. How does an average man like me, somebody who do not have a lot of means, um, how do I access justice? How do I, if I'm not happy with the decision that is made at the high court level or the court of appeal level, how do I go to a final court and have access to justice? And I believe the CCJ is an answer to the cry of many otherwise disenfranchised persons in our society. And I believe that if you consider yourself to be an average, ordinary citizen, right, there is hardly any way you can access the Privy Council. First of all, you might not be able to afford, you may work all your life and not be able to afford the cost, to get to the Privy Council. But here is a court that is accessible to you that if you cannot afford, for example, a plane ticket to go to Trinidad right there, to go to the court, that the court is able to virtually come to you by the use of technology and so forth. And so I believe that this is something that provides benefit and will provide benefit to the ordinary Grenadian. This is why I'm personally supportive. As I said, this is just my personal viewpoint. People, different pastors may have different views, and so forth, and they are allowed to hold a view. But I have a personal viewpoint that I think that the court promises benefits to all peoples.
The average young person out here in Grenada right now, the young lady that is at home right now with her 2 children unemployed, the young man that may be listening from on a construction site right now, the guys who are hanging out in Saigon right now on the blocks, or who may be up in Beaton on the blocks right now, or up in Rose Hill on the blocks, or the Lance on the blocks, or wherever it is right now. How does the Caribbean Court of Justice help those individuals? Why should they even be bothered on November 6th to leave the blocks, to leave their home, and go and vote for the Caribbean Court of Justice? What would you say to them?
I'm really happy that you asked this, Sheldon, because at the end of the day, these are the ordinary citizens that we are making reference to. The person who is on the block, the single parent who is struggling to make ends meet. And oftentimes, persons like this do have disputes in which they have to go to the court. And I know in many cases, I've spoken to persons who felt that, they expected a different outcome from the decision that is made by the court, whether it's magistrate court, whether it's the high court, or the court of appeal. And when those judgments were made, these persons had a hope that, hey, I would be able to go somewhere else and get what they would consider justice, right? And I think it is unfair to ordinary citizens to say that you have a final court of appeal in the Privy Council, but because I do not have means, maybe sometimes not because of my own doing, but I wasn't born into means. Maybe I'm a young person, I didn't have the opportunity to accumulate that type of wealth. So if I feel that, hey, I didn't get justice at this level, I'm immediately disenfranchised because I cannot afford to pay a lawyer somewhere in London, right? I believe it's unfair. It is like locking me in a prison and saying to me that you have access to freedom. But I truly don't have access to freedom because I don't have key for this prison that I've been locked in. And so I think the Privy Council sort of is positioned that only a few who can afford, who has the means, can access it. And we have seen it over the years, the number of persons who have really gone to the Privy Council. In fact, some people, when they get to the level of the court before the Privy Council, they don't even bother, because it doesn't cross the mind of an ordinary working class individual, somebody in a block, a single mother, that, hey, I can go to the Privy Council. I cannot personally afford to go to the Privy Council. If I have a matter in the court, right, as a young person, I don't feel personally that I've accumulated enough wealth to go to the Privy Council, right? But imagine you have now an option of having a true Caribbean court, yes, where you may be able to afford to go. You don't have to worry about accumulating that type of money to pay a plane ticket. It is not absolutely necessary, because we have had several cases where the CCG have had decisions made virtually using technology and so forth. But beyond that, there's another thing. So you go to some lords, right, of the Privy Council, and you on the block, and you say, well, I was sitting on the block, and me and them fellas,
We was liming.
we were chilling,
We were
or
liming.
we were liming on the block,
Yeah.
we were bubbling apart, right, and something happened here, and now I am tied up in the whole thing, but I wasn't in them kind of vibes, The Lords, I'm not sure the Lords in London will understand the language
They can't.
of the average man, because you're not speaking the Queen's English. But somebody who understands your cultural context, they can now understand what you're saying without need for a translator, without wondering, well, what is liming? What is I wasn't on them kind of scene.
What is the block?
Let's use this phrase. I was going and hunt in the bush with a banga net, and me and my brethren fall out, and I juke him with the banga net in the kajam. They know what you're talking about?
No, they will need translation.
They have no idea what you're
understand
talking
this.
about.
Watching each
So
other like
a judgment can be made not understanding the language, right? That you are speaking. And people may say, well, that's not English, but our patois, our dialect is a language. It is unique to us. It is cultural. And this is what the Caribbean court affords an ordinary person. That you can feel comfortable knowing that when you speak as a Grenadian, that your people are able to understand exactly what you're saying. And you wouldn't have a lack of justice because somebody didn't quite understand what you were saying. Right?
What do you say to persons, the churchgoers, right, Christians and so, who hearing about the CCJ, having all the information, and so may have a decision, but do not or do not vote. Basically, some of them say their religion does not allow them to vote, right? For example, in elections and that sort of thing. What is your message to them who, yes, it will affect them eventually because they are citizens and so, but because of religion, right, they refrain from voting, right, on a decision like that?
Well, when you look at people's right of belief and so forth, it is something that we respect. And so there are individuals who believe that they really should not be involved in anything pertaining to voting. And I respect person's right of belief. But I will also say to such persons that there is a need to remain alert and aware as to what is happening around you. Because whether or not you believe you have a right to vote, if somebody takes you to court, you don't have a choice based on the laws of our society, right? But to treat with the expectations of the court. And so even if you feel that, hey, this is all voting and this have nothing to do with me because I don't vote. In fact, it has all to do with you because you live within a society of laws, right? And this decision will have a direct effect on every Grenadian. And not just a person who may not believe in voting, Even a person who don't have a problem, it's not a belief issue, but just feel like, this is not a big deal. That's not my kind of thing. I'm not so excited about that. There's no big rallies to go to and whatever else. This is so important because none of us knows the day somebody's going to say, I'm taking you to court because of this issue. Maybe it has to do with land tenureship. Maybe you are now living on a family piece of land. And we have many persons in society who's like that. Ordinary persons.
We have tens of thousands of people like that on the island
exactly.
right now.
Yep.
You're living on a piece of land, and somebody shows up out of nowhere who you didn't know and say, "Hey, some relative from way back had me. I'm a child of that person, and you never met this person before." And they show up and they say, "This land you're living on, you have to move out because that's mine." Okay, and so you go to the laws in London and you're trying to explain this thing now in your basic language, if you could even afford.
If you can afford
to even get there, right? And in most cases, you cannot afford. And maybe that person who is coming up against you, they have the means, but you don't, right? So there's no level playing field. You are beginning with a sort of unfair disadvantage from the get-go. And this is why we're saying that this matters to the ordinary citizen.
And you know what is unfair there is that, okay, let's say it's a land tenure issue. The person who is bringing you to court to try and take the land over, they have a lot of money. So let's say they've been through the courts here, you've won it, and they've been through all the courts down here. But they have the means to go to the Privy Council. You don't. they're going to get a default judgment.
Oh yes.
But of course,
They're going to end up with a default judgment on you.
And
because you
lose all
cannot
your
even
lives.
So
afford
you're
to
gonna
pay the
lose-
reserve fee to have an attorney, right? In the UK, you can't even afford to do that. And so I think this is so important for every citizen of our country. You might be a young person and you say, man, I ain't have time for this thing. This thing is complex. All this court thing, CCJ thing. I'm not no lawyer. I don't understand this thing. But it's persons like ourselves who's going to be most affected because you are young. You have a long time to live in this country, right? The world is becoming what we call flat in that there's a lot of movement of people, right? It's a global village. And you have a lot of persons who have means, right? And maybe by token that you haven't had the chance to accumulate wealth, you may not have the means. So I think that this decision really matters to the ordinary Grenadian. And I applaud the authorities for seeing the need, the government, to really at this time try to provide a level playing field for ordinary Grenadians by giving us the opportunity to have a say in our final court.
Because as I'm saying, we looked at the issue of the land thing, for instance, if that happens, because a person mightn't mind spending $300,000 and going to the Privy Council to get a default judgment against you if they believe that the land is worth $4 million, you know.
Exactly.
And we may be looking at a piece of land and not understanding that, okay, in 5 years, 10 years, this piece of land would be worth X
10
amount.
times.
I'm sure many, many years ago, people used to look at quarantine point as nothing.
Nothing.
But you could imagine the price of a piece of quarantine point right now.
Exactly.
Even
Even True Blue.
True Blue,
Lands
yeah.
are
Lands
plain.
are plain.
Yeah,
People
people
probably
probably used
used
to
to
look at it.
initially in Plaza
Never
B.
want
Yeah.
Yes.
And now when you hear the price of the land in those places, so a person wouldn't mind spending that 300,000 to get a default judgment against you. They bring it out there and they get it like that. But rolling back to the religious community,
Right.
I think this is so very important, especially for denominations like, for instance, the Adventist Church. And I'll say why. I think that Adventists are treated unfairly in many instances, especially when it comes to being employed.
Employment is.
I think that the Adventist community, for one, and other Saturday worshippers are treated unfairly in that they are denied employment by some companies and some organizations simply because they have a specific religious belief that, look, we do not work during this period. And I think it is constitutionally, it's unfair to them because they have a right to worship in their own way. And it's very important for denominations like the Adventist Church because it would be very expensive for them to bring a case now against our organization for unfair treatment because of religion. It would be very difficult for them to find the money to go to the Privy Council.
Yep.
Yeah, very difficult. But they can find the resources and go to the Caribbean Court of Justice. And also, something that a lot of people don't know is that for the poorer among us who cannot afford to bring their case to the Caribbean Court of Justice, they have a mechanism within the court system to provide assistance to those persons to be able to get their case.
That's correct.
Similar to
The
legal aid.
the Privy Council only do that for murderers. Only murderers the Privy Council do that for. Only a person who has killed somebody and probably under the sentence of death or so and trying to get off of the sentence of death can get their thing done free at the Privy Council. All kind of lawyers coming out from all over and say, I'll take the case. And they get it free. But Joe Brown and Judy Jack down here can't get a case to the Privy Council unless they kill somebody.
Right. And let me just, as we speak about religion and churches, let me just make this point because I think it is valid to make that the approach and mindset and the legal theory concerning religion changes by culture. So when you look at the right to worship and how that is interpreted in the UK, it is different to how that is interpreted here. When you speak of what is a church, what constitutes a church in some of these more bigger countries, right? It is different to what our culture understands churches. We understand in our culture, for example, a few people who gather together to worship, maybe in somebody's living room, could be considered a church, right? That there are not all these legal barriers preventing people from freedom of worship and all of that. But in the context of some of those bigger countries, you have to have legal registration, you have to have certain taxation status to be considered a church and all of that. So let's say there's a dispute in terms of religion, right? And the Privy Council has to make a decision, but they are looking at it from their context of what a church is.
Their cultural context.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I think we as Christians have to consider that as well when we look at the CCJ versus the Privy Council. That being said, though, I do know that the Alliance of Evangelical Churches, that we have taken a position that our role on the advisory committee will be one of monitoring and ensuring that the process goes how it is supposed to go, that the population is being fed accurate information, etc., etc. So the alliance is not advocating a yes vote or no vote on this particular issue. So you wouldn't find many churches preaching and saying go there and vote no, or go there and vote yes. But I believe it is okay to say to Christians that this issue is so serious that you cannot afford to just ignore it, because it's a serious national issue. And I will say, even to persons who may think, not just Christians, it's Grenadian alike, that because I don't have a lot of information and maybe don't understand this, I'll just go and vote no. I don't think it is fair to say, because I don't feel I have enough information, I should go to vote no. I think we still have some time, and there are so many different programs and engagement that is being organized by the advisory committee, that you can go and receive information, that questions you may have, you will have the opportunity to ask, even challenge some of the things that is being said by members of the advisory committee, and maybe get clarity if clarity is needed, or if you think you have clarity, to provide clarity, right? Because it is a national discourse. Yes. But I don't think we should have a predisposition, right, without allowing a fair hearing, because there are some people, you say CCJ, before they hear, they say no, without even understanding how is the court funded, how a judge is appointed, and so forth. How it will affect you. I was speaking to some persons who was saying no. I said, but why? Why do you say no? Oh, well, the politician are appointed the judge. I said, well, who told you that? I hear that. All right? Is it fair to continue in ignorance and say, well, I hear that, when there's an opportunity to receive information, yes? Correct. So that you can make an informed decision. And so at the end of the day, maybe you receive the information and you still decide, I'm not going to support, which is your right, okay? But at least let's give this a fair hearing as a people. Let's engage with the information so that we can make an informed decision. And I think the seriousness of this matter at least deserve a fair hearing. I want to also stress that this ought not to be a partisan issue.
Definitely.
Which was my next question to you, because I see many persons attempting to make the issue into a political one, and I think it is unfair to themselves and unfair to the nation to continue to look at this from partisan politics standpoint. It's not going to be a victory for any political party or any particular individual in a political sense. Once this gets through, it's going to be a victory for each and every Grenadian.
Yes.
Each and every Grenadian. And I think we have to start and continue looking at this from a non-partisan perspective.
That's right. There are certain things that defies partisanship. We cannot polarize certain issues, all right? And this is one such issue that have national implication. I don't know that the court is a political entity, so I don't see why we should politicize this process, right? I felt good when we had the launch of the public activities for this campaign, and I saw the likes of Randall Robinson there saying that he supports CCJ, right?
Because he's risen above petty partisan politics. Exactly. He understands the importance of the issue.
And I know there have been several persons that I've spoken to and who have heard from both parties who say that, hey, this is good for the country. I'm going to support this. And what I'm saying is, like, let us be fair at least to all people. A lot of resources are going to be expended to make this process a reality, to have this referendum. And we can do well for our country by not allowing this to become a political bloodbath, and instead rising to a level of maturity where we can put aside partisan politics for a while right? And say, hey, this is something that is good for us as a people. And as such, we support, right? And we are not saying that 100% of everybody will support it. There may be very well some NNP supporters who may feel, there may be some NNC supporters who may have mixed feelings. But I'm saying it should not be, your yes vote and your no vote should not be based on the party you belong to.
Exactly.
Right? Your yes votes and your no votes should be a vote in the interest of the whole of Grenada. And even parents listening, I want people to know that, hey, whatever decision you make, this is going to affect the future of your children. And you would not like your children to sit back and say, if only my mother had voted differently or supported this, or my father had voted differently or supported this, maybe now I will have justice. I have kids. And when I get up in the morning and I watch my children, I want to make sure decisions I make as a parent in the context of Grenada makes Grenada a better place for my kids to live in than we met it. We inherited, I was born into a country where the Privy Council was given to us. And I said, given to us. The people didn't have to make a decision, right? We now have an opportunity to make a decision, an informed decision. And maybe history will remember us as the generation that had this opportunity. We don't know if this opportunity will ever come again, all right? And that's the seriousness of the decision that we're making. And the implication of it will be so far-reaching to our children, their children, who is going to be our grandchildren. And so I believe this decision deserves to be ventilated in an area where there is free from partisan politics.
I also think too that, I mean, it is our responsibility as a nation to keep up the things that we bind ourselves to. For example, in the past, the Treaty of Chaguaramas, way back in the 80s, which most of it brings the Caribbean countries together, in one single space. Right, we make decisions together. Right, I mean, it is basically unfair, in my view, to most of the peoples of the Caribbean that their governments are being paying for services, to provide services for its citizens, and we are not using it.
Yes, well,
one thing is the CCJ.
Yes,
I mean,
but that is already paid.
But has paid.
I'm saying, it's paid for,
right.
But we not.
So we don't have to be worried about
service.
Grenada having to pay in the future.
In the future,
we are
and Grenada,
exactly.
Grenada can't hold, and Grenada can't hold the CCJ to ransom and say, listen, we're not paying, and if we ain't pay, all you better pass this judgment in our favor. We ain't paid.
We ain't giving you no money.
Yeah,
right. Because
we can't do it.
the funds, the governments of the region already paid the money into the trust.
Into that, yes.
Right? And they don't have control over the trust. And that's one of the things I like about the court. So some people say, well, you are sure some countries are struggling to fund their local court. How would they fund CCJ? And I said again, this is because of a misunderstanding as to how the court system, how the court works, right? The funds are already there. So it's not an issue of lack of funding. Even if we vote no and we do not get into this court, we have already paid, right? So we have paid for something. It's not a matter of making use of this thing that we have already paid for, right?
And in local terms, people will say, I pay for my food already. Why not? I'm not eating it.
Right.
It's already paid for. You know. So let's enjoy it.
And I think one of the things we should also look at is what is the Privy Council. Now, the mindset and the way the Privy Council perceives the Caribbean changes based on who is really the person that is leading the grouping of judges of the Privy Council. Right? We had some years ago one of the leaders saying, hey, we don't need you guys. You guys are frustration to us. You these Caribbean people. Why don't you get your own court? Right? And so I think we have to, as a people, realize that, hey, we don't need to be reproached like this.
No.
Right? And I know some people, because I have some persons who are my very good friends who say to me, yes, Devon, I know you're saying about colonialism and breaking the chains of colonialism, and there are a lot more that needs to be done. And I say to them, yes, the CCJ is not everything that needs to be done to bring the change, right? We hear about emancipation, mental slavery, and some of my friends were saying, why don't we start there? And I'm saying, the CCJ allows us a little bit of emancipation from mental slavery,
Exactly.
To think that our people are not good enough to make judgments concerning us. And it's a type of mentality that sometimes holds us hostage as a people.
But it's mental slavery. And you see, while we believe that our people are not of the standard, are not of the class, are not of the ilk to be able to cast judgment on us on matters of law, the International Criminal Court doesn't think so. because they take judges from the region from time to time on different issues in the internet. So the world body, the court that basically the world court, the International Criminal Court, that in fact late President of Trinidad and Tobago Arthur Napoleon Robinson had a hand in creating the International Criminal Court, that whether somebody killed people in Rwanda or Bosnia, or they commit a crime, a terrorist act in some country, in some far-flung region of the world, they go to the International Criminal Court. They use judges from the Caribbean. But in the Caribbean, we are saying that we shouldn't trust our own judges? When people from around the world trust our judges?
And if you do not trust your judges, because they're from the region, or because of the race, because you feel, well, this race of people that look like me, cannot dispense justice concerning me, all right? Or people from the Caribbean cannot be fair, then you have to really ask yourself, are you truly mentally, right, freed from slavery? So when we speak about emancipation from slavery, and so on one hand, we cannot be speaking, or people need to be emancipated from mental slavery. And with the same voice, we are saying, you should vote no to the CCJ because our own people cannot dispense justice concerning us. I mean, that is like a part, right? And beyond that, we speak about there need to do some other things related to breaking the ties of colonialism. Some people speak about the head of state, that maybe this is something that we should have a conversation about. And I agree, we should have a conversation about that. The wigs in the parliament, right? I know there have been some talk about that. For the likes of me, I can't understand it. But
you know what's the price of one of those wigs? The wigs that they're using right now, if it has to be replaced, it's somewhere in the region of £4,000, for one of the wigs. It's a special, made in a special place, a special way, this kind of thing.
We can't make that on here.
What we need it for?
What I was saying, I mean, if we
you see, our hair is good enough.
Yeah,
our hair is good enough to be displayed in the parliament.
I mean, you might not have as much hair as us.
We don't have to look a special way.
Exactly.
To be able to be at here. And so
we are
so I share that view. Yes, we have other things to do as well.
The Queen's face on the money.
CCJ is one of the things.
So
you can't say I have a list.
It's a legal
I have a
school.
list of things to do. And because I'm not doing everything on the list, I should do nothing on the list. You start dealing with the list by taking one thing at a time. And so we have CCJ in front of us. Let's get that off the to-do list concerning breaking the chains of colonialism.
But let me say this though. The CCJ is the most important. And I'll say why the CCJ is most important. Even if we were to have a referendum now, and remove the Queen as head of state, it doesn't affect much. It just affects the name of things. Her Majesty's prison. What influence does the Queen have on the prison? Yes, it's Her Majesty's prison, but because it's Her Majesty's prison, doesn't mean that she spends any money on it. The Queen doesn't spend a single cent on the prison here. It's me and your tax dollars spent. So it's just a name. It doesn't affect our lives. It's just a name. It can be changed sooner or later, and I don't think we even need to go to a referendum to change that. No. We could change the name of the prison. The Royal Grenada Police Force, I used to call it the Royal Grenada Police Force during the Revolt, or the Grenada Police Force? Was the Royal Grenada Police Force?
No,
Zuma, if you're listening.
I'm not sure.
Zuma will know. Zuma, if you're listening, link us.
Royal Grenada Police. Wow.
But it's just a name. Yes, they do have the crown as part of the symbol and everything that lends to that. But it does not mean that the Queen can order the Royal Grenada Police Force to do anything. She can't. Nor does she pay them. So, but when it comes to the Privy Council, the fact that the Privy Council remains, they can actually affect our lives with their judgments. For instance, suppose someone decides that they want to remove prayer from all schools in Grenada, and they take a case through the court systems here, they fail, because people understand the culture of Grenada, and they decide they're taking it to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council decides, no, that person has a right to not have prayers in school in Grenada, and just so, all prayer out of schools in Grenada, because it's no law that you have to take the prayer out of schools in Grenada. So you have to understand it from that context. The Privy Council itself, the Caribbean Court of Justice, these things are tangible things that can actually affect and influence our lives in a serious way. The fact that the Queen's face is on the money doesn't affect us. It might be an annoyance to some, but it does not affect us. It does not mean that Her Majesty can come to the islands at any point in time and decide that I want all the money on the island of Grenada is mine. You see my face on it? That is mine. That is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's money, and give it to me. Is mine. I want it now. She cannot do that. It doesn't belong to her. It's ours. Also, we're part of a regional monetary union. And as such, even if we make that change, every other island would have to make it too to have the face removed from the money. So it's not a tangible argument. But the Privy Council can affect serious things with us. Suppose a member, a person who does not believe in receiving a blood transfusion, and there is someone that's trying to force that person to take a blood transfusion, and that matter goes through the court, and so the Privy Council could decide that that person has to take the blood transfusion. They could make a decision that affects you as an individual. The Queen's face on the money doesn't do that. The name of the Royal Grenada Police Force or Princess Alice Hospital or Princess Royal, that doesn't do that. But the Privy Council does. It has an effect on us.
Yes, and we really have to consider those factors as a people. I think, if you really want to try to find reasons, you can always try to find some kind of justification for saying, hey, I just don't support. Because there are some people who, they just don't support for not any particular reason. They just want to vote no, right? They just oppose for the sake of it, right? But I think we need to be objective.
Okay. We have a caller online. Let's go to the phone.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my
Morning.
friend.
Good morning.
Yeah. I have a question for the gentleman.
Go right
Now, what happens if the exercise fails? What happens? That's one. Now, if the exercise fails, can a citizen of Grenada still utilize the services of the CCG? And I have a quick comment here. Now, in a situation whereby I believe Grenada, we are in a situation here whereby because the Privy Council was so out of reach to the ordinary man, I find that people, they don't see the importance of the CCG. I think that's a factor too. But going back to the original question, sir, if the exercise fails, what happens? And if the exercise fails, can a citizen of Grenada utilize the services of the court and get a judgment that we have to abide by here? Thank you.
Yeah, I think Colin, I like the question, and you actually make a very critical point. Well, if the exercise fail, we are stuck with the Privy Council for now, and unless
as your final appellate court.
Yes, as your final appellate court, and concerning being the final court of appeal, if you have a matter and you feel you want to go to final court of appeal, you cannot tell the citizen say, I'm going to go to CCJ, because the law doesn't recognize the CCJ, the Constitution, as a final appellate court. And this is how serious this is. So,
and it's constitutional. It's not just a law that could go in Parliament and change. It's constitutional.
That's
so according to the Constitution of Grenada, a citizen of Grenada, the final court that they can appeal their case to is the Privy Council. So they won't be able to go to the CCJ.
Yes.
It would be unconstitutional.
Yeah, so you will. So basically, and the point that you make, that some people, because of a lack of access to the Privy Council, they're not taking this as serious because they never really saw that level of justice as being accessible in any case.
Very good point.
And we're saying now that hey, we can change this, and I do agree with your perspective on this, caller. And I'm just saying that it's going to be very unfortunate if we get to do this and that this doesn't succeed. Unfortunate for this generation and unfortunate for future generations to come, because we have a history-defining opportunity here before us as a people that is as straightforward as it could be. When I was asked initially my position on the CCJ, I have always said that give me a clean bill and I'll support. And this is a clean bill that is placed before us.
There are no additions and other areas and subsections.
Exactly.
It's just CCJ.
Straightforward, clean bill, right? And for persons who had concerns in the previous referendum about bill number 1, if you had concerns, it is not the same bill, right? It is the bill number 1, the last time was CCJ and other justice-related matters. This is CCJ that we're speaking about. and then just a small matter, which is a change of the name of the court, which doesn't have anything. But this is a straight forward, clean bill, right? And you know what amazes me? Even at the public launch that was held recently, persons who expressed the concerns, most of them, if not all, began making a contribution by saying, I am supportive of CCJ. Some of them sought clarifications. Some of them may have had certain conceptions that needed further clarifying and explanation, but they were supportive of CCJ. So I'm here to hear really a solid argument as to why we shouldn't support going to the CCJ as the final appellate court. And I'm saying I'm open still to a discussion. If you have a good argument as to why we shouldn't.
Maybe they could convince us not to.
Maybe you convince me, because I'm not somebody who say, well, I'm just going for it no matter what. I want to hear the perspective of the people as well, right? But I'm saying that we shouldn't just say we voted no because we want to vote no.
I think
We have a call online.
good morning and welcome.
Yes, Devon, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to Sheldon, and I think Mr. Cassie in there.
Yes.
Good morning to all of y'all.
Morning, Leslie.
Now, I see the top. Okay. Now, my problem is that I would not be in Grenada to vote. And I think that there should be arrangements made for Grenadian nationals who are abroad to vote, whether it be in something like the referendum or as we have regular, the general elections. I think something could be done in that. Let me mention, as it relates to the CCD, I think I would have heard Dr. Gonzalez mention, or the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines mention, of going to Parliament to make CCJ the final court of appeal. I'm not sure how that would work, because St. Vincent is a different country. It's a whole set of... But my question is, if it fails this time, again, can we go into Parliament and just make the CCJ the law of the land? I don't know if it could work. As I say, I believe I heard a couple months ago St. Vincent was talking about it. So, yeah, just give us let us hear what you would say about that. And then after that, I know some people might say, okay, well, it's time that we always have a representative, the leader of the opposition, appointed. So that's something that's going to come up soon. But we're talking about that now. I just threw that by the way. Have a good day, gentlemen.
Yes. Caller, a very good question, because I know some people are wondering, well, what next if this thing fails? But I do have confidence. Let me just say this, sir. I do have confidence in our Grenadian people and our intelligence, right? And so I really feel that people would really look at this and be able to make an informed decision. Just to respond, related to some countries being able to go to Parliament. Yes, there are countries in the region. Their constitution do not require them. I'm not sure about the case of St. Vincent. I would want to believe they should have a similar constitution to ours. But some countries like Barbados and so forth didn't need a referendum to accede to the CCJ as a final court of appeal. But there are other countries, like Grenada. Our constitution tells us that we need to have 2/3 of the majority vote in a referendum, national referendum, to be able to join the court. So to respond, no. Based on our constitution, we would not be able, if this failed, the government or any other organization wouldn't be able to go to Parliament and just decide for us to be part of the CCJ. The people has to decide. We are constitutionally given the opportunity as a people to make this decision. And I think some people really appreciate that they have the opportunity to have a say, because this is a serious and decision that have a lot of implications.
Let me say here, and for those of you that want to call in, 440-7377, that's 440-7377, the local number.
And 347-329-3101.
And Kester is asking a question. Kester, I'll get to your question in a little while, but just before that though, we must understand how colonialism and the colonialists worked. When it came to Grenada and a particular individual by the name of Sir Eric Matthew Gary, when they were putting the Grenada Constitution in place, they were so afraid of Sir Eric Matthew Gary that they put this clause in, this 2/3 clause, that I don't think any other country in the Caribbean has in their constitution. Some of them have a similar, but the 2/3 clause is kind of more a Grenada thing. And it was used as a means of putting in check Sir Eric Matthew Gary and his GULP at the point in time. Remember, these are the people that take him and put him on a battleship and all sorts of things, so they'd afraid him. So when they did the Grenada Constitution, they put in the stopgap measure so that he would not be able to manipulate the Constitution, that the people in majority would have to decide for any significant change. Now, there are two categories here. There is a category for minor changes to the Constitution and for major changes. For minor changes, you could get a simple majority in Parliament and have a minor change done. That's like some small, a small matter. But when you're talking minor something, but when it comes to our major things like the court that is going to affect all the judgments and so on, you must go to a referendum for that. And it was also being used, this 2/3 majority thing was also used by the colonials. I mean, they're saying, yes, all you have to retain part of us. Independence, yes, but we still holding on. We still have a string tied to all you, that we know all you ain't go burst. Or they think we ain't go burst. So that's why they kept that 2/3 majority thing. I can't remember another country that has it.
That's why it's so important.
They do have to have a majority, but 2/3.
You know, the thing is that, you know, sometimes some things that are designed for a reason have a way of giving you another opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunity that we have as a people is that we as a people have the occasion to rise with a spirit of unity. We speak about being one people, right? We speak about being ever conscious of God and aspiring, being in advance as one people, one family. Let us live these words and show that truly we can aspire, we can build, we can advance as one people.
Okay. Good morning and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Sheldon. Good morning, Devon.
Good morning.
Morning. Devon and Sheldon, Pastor Devon, Roger. I want to say the CCJ is the way to go. It's the way to go because the CCJ make it much easier for we, the Ghanaian people and the Caribbean people. And Brother Devon and Sheldon and Pastor Roger, you know, sometimes in your life, you don't do nothing, but someone come and interfere with you. As a father in a home, if someone came and attack your family, you have to defend your family. Right? And in the event that you attack a person, that person get damaged, and that person take it to court. And then that person lost the case. The person appeal. Right? Then they appeal and they lose again. Then they take it to the Privy Council. Reach that person, have access to that money to go to the Privy Council. And you are the person who are defending your family in your own home. Don't have that money. Eventually, what's going to happen? That person get a default judgment against you, right? So, but in the CCJ in the Caribbean, you could file a case tooth and nail because you don't have to go know you get all the information from you. So I call upon Ghanaian, let us put aside the politics because this thing has nothing to do with politics. It is a good and a benefit for each and every one of we, the Ghanaian people. Everybody will have a privilege to get fair justice. So I call upon the Ghanaian people, come out and let us support the CCJ because it is something good for us and all parents and people who cares and love people, they should encourage people to vote yes for the CCJ. So Brother Devon, Sheldon, and Pastor Devon, you all have one for God bless you.
All right, my friend.
Thank you.
And I love the team that was put forward by the committee and so. And it says clearly breaking that chains, right, from colonialism. That's just one way. That's a legal tooth to it, right? Because, I mean, in this day and age, you find, I mean, as a small country, right, and as a people who not, I mean, economically strong, you will have a lot of judgments, a lot of issues that you have to deal with, and you don't have the power to do it. But in the case of us as a Caribbean person, we have redress in a code that will understand.
Precisely.
Right? You know, but
yeah, and you know, when you speak about the requirement for 2/3 majority for slavery, for emancipation to take place, a small group of people who are separated from the slave themselves had the opportunity to make the decision. The slave themselves couldn't just decide we go emancipate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
no.
All right. Here we have the opportunity as a people to decide.
A majority.
We will break the chains of colonialism ourselves by the power of the ballot, the power of the vote. All right. And I'm saying we shouldn't allow this opportunity to make such a statement, to pass it. Because not just that, if we make the opposite decision and say, well, we don't trust our own people, so we're not going to go to this court. Because people speak about trust, right? And I mean, a lot of persons have concerns in terms of trust, right? But when we speak about trust, not trusting our own people, we have to ask ourselves, why do we not trust our own people? Is it because they are our color?
It was designed by them for us to go through that.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my friend.
How are you?
All right, good.
Sheldon.
Yes, good morning.
Green man. Good morning to everybody.
Hey, Green man.
Well, my point I'm making, I ready, That is a good thing. And
Yes.
I ready to vote twice. I'm
As-
voting yes.
Beautiful, man.
Who don't want to vote twice? Well, everybody understand, but I voting yes because that is a good thing. And you take care.
All right,
All
brother.
right, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Yes, and make sure when you go to vote, bring others, eh?
Yeah,
don't just go by
bring-
yourself. Don't be selfish with it.
And-
Bring
and-
others.
Yeah, and the conversation, I mean, we carry on the conversation here, trying to inform, educate persons towards that. But it is incumbent on persons within the villages, the homes, and so who understand what the CCJ, the benefit the CCJ can bring to us, to, share the information to persons around who may not understand.
Let me make a point here. And Devon was just alluding to part of, well, when I say Devon, Pastor Roche was just getting confused. Was just alluding to part of
Devon
it. Some
senior,
people,
Devon sub-senior.
Yes.
Only killing me here today. But one of the important things is that we seem not to trust ourselves. But here's the difference here. The Privy Council. When you look at the justices that are on the Privy Council, it's one category of person from the UK. It's the lords and so on, and these sort of people. They call themselves lord, eh? Yeah, you know what we think lord is. Lord is a different thing from me and what it is for them. But anyhow, yeah. So they have the lords and so on, and they lord it over us.
Yeah.
Right? Lord this and Lord that, and they lord it over us. They have one complexion, they're from one place, and we're not saying that we have a problem with them being their complexion or their race. We do have a problem with that. But we are not represented on the Privy Council.
And they are not about my lord anyways.
Well, there's their Lord. But here, on the CCJ, while we have our people, we also have one justice that is from the Netherlands, and we have another justice that is from the UK as well. So we have a mix. So you can't say that, it's only West Indians there, so they're going to just take one specific perspective of it. But it is more multifaceted.
Yes.
That you could have that other view to counteract the views of the justices from the Caribbean there, so that when you get a judgment coming out of the CCJ, I dare say that the judgment coming out of the CCJ is going to be of a higher quality than one group of people that have the same mindset from the same place, operating in the same way. We have no representative on the Privy Council. But here on the CCJ, you have a justice from the United Kingdom, you have one from the Netherlands, and you have 4 others who are from the region. So you have a proper mix of persons. But Kester was asking that question earlier. What is the difference in the cost to litigate the cases between the CCJ and the Privy Council?
Wow.
Kester, you could spend up to $300,000 to litigate a case at the Privy Council. At the CCJ, I even think you might even spend as much as $30,000 according to the case and so on. And if you can't afford at the CCJ level, there is a mechanism where you can receive legal assistance through the CCJ.
Similar to something like legal aid.
The cost the money you spend to go to the Privy Council, you could buy land,
build house.
you could build house, you might be able to buy a car.
And start a business.
Right? Because it is so exorbitant in most cases. So, but I think, and this bothers me, though, that if you tell me you cannot trust your people for the reason of the color of the skin, I have a serious problem with that.
Definitely. That means
Right?
you're
I
still
have
locked
a
up in that.
major melanin problem.
I
there.
take personal, yes, I take a
umbrage.
I have to take some offense to that. Because if you're saying that I cannot trust you because you look like me, I mean, What do you mean? That is the height of mental slavery, right?
Exactly.
I mean, there can be other reasons you may submit for lack of trust, but definitely not somebody place of birth
It reminds
or the
me-
color of the skin. And then when you look at what the CCJ versus the Privy Council, you have a child, an average grade, and we have had some legal scholars from this country. You think your child could ever aspire to become a lord of the Privy Council? In terms of a goal?
They will not even
that.
consider.
I mean, you can't even, if you can't even think about that. You can't
Exactly.
even begin to dream that. That's not going to happen. You have to be born a certain place. You have to look a certain way, belong to a certain class to ever even think about aspiring to be there, right? But an average Grenadian who commit themselves to the study of law and so forth and build a career, can aspire to become a Justice of the Caribbean Court of Justice.
And a significant point that had to be made, and I was listening to Dr. Francis Alexis this morning. One of the things that the CCJ has embarked on since its inception is the different amount of conference and getting together of all the different lawyers and legal luminaries around the Caribbean, basically, so they can have a common understanding, right, as a people, and so they have been given things like seminars, awarding scholarships, and so to persons within the Caribbean. And he made that point: has the Privy Council ever done that?
We have a caller.
Good morning and welcome.
Yes, pleasant good morning.
Morning.
Well, listen, CCJ is the way to go if for no other reason than we need to have our own. I remember years ago, over 20 years ago, when one of the lords from the Privy Council was basically saying we are a burden to them. And apart from that, we need to go our own way. We need to mature to have our own. I remember when we were moving from the GCE to the CXC, there were people who were making statements that there would be a lot of cheating and whatnot, because people are going to know, Right now, CXC is the greatest thing to happen to us in education, and we need to be able to trust one another. There will always be that human element where you would have small biases. And it will happen in the Privy Council too. We may not know about it, but CCJ is the way to go. Bye, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point about GC and CSC. You see, people are usually a little bit scared of change.
Yeah.
People are a little bit scared of change. We can speak about countless examples. Small changes that needed to be made. I mean, in Grenada, I remember when we had to zone the buses, people were so concerned about the zoning of the buses.
Even the bus terminals,
People concerned about this bus terminal thing, so how do I get... so people are usually apprehensive to change. But I'm saying to our people that this is a serious matter, and you don't want to ever live to regret your vote on this issue. Right? So you want to make an informed decision.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Devon. Good morning, Sheldon. Good morning, Pastor Devon.
Good morning.
Calling and asking, good morning again to the Northeast District and Carrick and PD Martinique. My question this morning is that as the diaspora, can we vote? Something could be worked out that we can vote via our passport for safety and security of the ballot?
Legally no, but that is something that could be addressed not necessarily through the Constitution, but by a law. It may have to be considered. That when there are referenda, that
we could do a ballot even though we owe the country. That'd be something to look into. Good that we could do that.
It's something that could be addressed.
There are several states in the United States that have those arrangements for absentee ballots.
All right, so
okay, and
so
you're
was
where?
just my contribution, and take care of the beach for me until I come back.
Okay, brother. You're calling from where? You're calling from where,
Take care of the
caller?
beach for me.
No, we're just trying to find out where you're calling from.
Oh, California.
California. Okay, bro. Wow. Oh, I just realized who calling then. All right, brother.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I should have make out the voice one time, and when he say California, I make out too.
One of the things that I continue seeing, I cannot understand, and let's look at it individually, that an individual who has grown in their 20s, in their 30s, and in their 40s, independent, right, has a job, everything like that, but still want to remain in his mother's house.
Mother may have, father may have, blessed is the child that has his own.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You understand?
We need our own
That
court.
independence.
Yes.
You know,
and they have
we
to
have
tell
to-
us to. They have to tell us to go. They
Yes.
have to tell us to bust it and shake out.
Yes, and shake out,
right?
looking at
For
it.
us to know, hey, we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
outlived our welcome, and it's time
Exactly.
for us to have our own.
Mhm.
And we have something that is
Independence.
that is good, is working, it is of good quality, that allows for fair dispensation of justice, and so I don't see why not.
Exactly. You know, we
Imagine.
have to, you know.
We mentioned the International Criminal Court. So in other words, people in other place, they took no less than about 5 judges from the Caribbean region so far to sit on cases as in what happened in Yugoslavia. You had that judge from Guyana, Justice Sohobadin, I think is his name, from Guyana, that would have sat on the Yugoslav tribunal. And you've had Justice Anthony Carmona, you've had Carl Hudson Phillips, you've had others from the region that have sat on the International Court. But we are still saying in the Caribbean that we don't trust our own people.
And there are several Grenadians who have globally been involved in dispensing justice all over the world, and
In Canada?
and who have been very well respected. You know,
I
And
know
so-
in Canada, in the UK, and so on, you have people of Grenadian heritage who have made their mark.
Yes, and they are trusted. Their decisions are trusted. You know,
The main thing we have to say, though, is when it comes to the issue of political influence, if politicians were able to influence the court, Frundle Stewart would have never made the statement he made just before he lost the prime ministership of Barbados.
but of course,
That he coming out the court because he vexed. Oh, and it has nothing to do with the judgments that come out the court. Just think, what do you mean it had nothing to do with the judgments that come out the court? And then he came back and said, well, look, no, it seems as though the court has something against Barbados. The justices are looking at law. Not if you are a state, not if you are Barbados, not if you are Grenada, not if you are whoever. They're looking at what the law says and the application of the law
That's right.
to the issue at hand. That is what they're doing. They're not trying to be, oh, that one is my friend, and this is the country I'm from, and so on. No. This is the law. This is what the law says. This is the application of the law.
But Sheldon,
That is what they do.
But every person that continue talking about political interference, I dare persons to give me 1 or even 2 instances within the Caribbean over the last 20 or 30 years where the politicians directly had influence over the courts as it is.
you see, you cannot just throw out an argument without your
The facts, exactly.
to support. I mean, it is not an argument that has a basis if you don't have facts to support. So you can't just say, I am afraid of political interference. You have to say why.
Why? Give
How?
instances. Yeah.
What about the design of the court makes you feel that it can be political interference? And I'm saying I'm a convert when it comes to the concern of political interference. Because I had the same concern years ago concerning the possibility of political interference within the court. But once you understand
Setup
how
of
the
the
court is set up and established, you have to appreciate and you have to accept that, hey, there's no facts and basis for that fear of political interference. You see, fear is something else, you know. You know, you can stand up outside and you can say, oh, I fear that the wind will pelt a tree and knock me down. But what is the possibility of that happening? You see? So
It's like a boogeyman. It's a Baba Yaga. It's a Tuntun Makut. It's a boogeyman. A zombie, as we would say in Grenada. No, Tuntun Makut is actually zombie in their patois. So it's a zombie. It's just like you fear something that you never really see.
Yeah,
It don't
hear
really
about.
exist. You just hear that is
just
so.
wonder,
and
and
you
you're
feel,
wondering.
you build a whole thing around the fact that not fact, but the belief that there is some sort of political influence. It can't be. In fact, as it is right now, other courts and other regions are looking to the Caribbean Court of Justice as the model of how they are going to set up their structures.
exactly.
So they're looking to us.
The
And
independence. of
while they're
all
looking
the
at
courts,
us, we have people saying we can't trust ourselves.
We can trust ourselves.
Come on.
And let me just make this point because there are some people saying, oh, I don't trust this because some people are too passionate about this. But if you feel something is right and good for the country, what is wrong
Then
with
so
being
be it.
passionate about it? I
Then-
mean, what is wrong about being passionate about something that you feel is right? It's not because you have something to hide or there is something personal in it for you. Is there anything wrong in being patriotic and thinking, hey, this is good for Grenada, this is good for my country, and so I'm going to champion this cause? I'm one person, when I believe something, I champion it very hard. I go after it hard, and nothing is wrong with that. And so there are individuals within our society who already are very convinced and have been for some time that this is the right decision. This is something that we need as a country. There are some people who are passionate about breaking the chains of colonialism, right? And so they have been championing this. And I don't think anything is really wrong with them doing that. It doesn't mean that there is some kind of personal benefit that is going to be derived, or they have something to hide and whatever else. So
for example, you have your a young lady, you madly in love with her, madly in love with her, and you want to marry her. You understand, for all the right reasons. So you expressing yourself, look, man, I love this lady and I'm going to marry her.
That's right.
You understand? Yes. I mean, we have to look at these things much more open, and so and what will affect us, and not just us, but our generations to come. And so we are living in a world, I mean, not just for ourselves, but of different things. But hey, as I always say, the CCJ, in my view, all right, is the only option as a people that we have for, I mean, equality and justice, real justice for us, right? Because most of us here cannot afford to go to the Privy Council, right? That if that would only be my only argument as to why we need to go to the CCJ, then hey, so be it. The cost, we cannot afford it, and then we will not get justice. All right, if we cannot go as far as we can, So,
Pastor Devon, it's 12 o'clock. Give us your closing statements on this issue for this week. You never know; you might come back before the end of the referendum time. We would see you in studio again with us.
Yes, I just want to again appeal to us as a people to treat this with the seriousness that it deserves. I want to appeal to all of us, whether you feel that you support NNP or NDC or PPP or whatever it would be, right? To really take this as a national issue. It defies political walls and boundaries. It is something that our nation deserves, and we need that type of healing where we can do something together as a country that is not partisan. And I think this affords us an opportunity to turn the corner as a people. And so I want to appeal to us that we should really, at least be open to receiving and hearing the information concerning. Do not be closed. Attend the various sessions that is going to be organized by the advisory committee. Field your questions. Seek clarifications if you need to, so you can make an informed decision. I also want to say, do not just pick up on rumors without verification, right? Try to verify the information. We are living in an information age. It's not difficult to have information and knowledge. So don't let somebody just tell you something and take it for gospel, or to say that this is a statement of facts, right? Verify. Somebody may say to you, you shouldn't support because of the political interference. Verify whether that is even possible, right? And let us not feel that, hey, I don't understand, so I'm going to stay home and not support, or this is not something that excites me, so I'm not going to go out and vote. It is very important, if not for you, for the generations that will come after you. And let us as a people together, with a loud voice and a loud shout, make a statement concerning colonialism on the 6th of November.
All right, folks, and we'd like to thank you so very much for joining us today. Again, the representative of the evangelical community on the CCJ Advisory Committee. And Pastor Devon isn't telling you vote yes, he's not telling you vote no. He put his points forward, and he knows that you would make the proper decision. Yeah, he knows that you would make the proper decision. Definitely. So we'd like to thank you once again, and again thank the CCJ Advisory Committee for ensuring that we had a guest here with us this morning. And Devon, well, we had a note.
Yeah, we had a note.
I had to go buy short man and eat soup. I could go and get soup down on Karani James Boulevard too,
Yeah, you can check the soup bowl.
I could go and check the soup bowl.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Don't rub it in, because them kind of soup is not for me. I mean,
Short man and Yvette permitting aside. All right. I'm coming up the road just now. All right. So, folks, that's all the time we have on Hard Talk today. And whatever you say, whatever you do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you.
And not about you.
Yeah, and we got to go out with a little bit of a steel pan for them again. Yeah, they're getting it right through these days.
It is said that education is the key to success. The Grenada Development Bank believes this to be the truth, hence the reason we have made it our prerogative to ensure that your key is in safe hands with us. Here is how you can unlock your success with an education loan from the GDB. We offer you 3 loan options. We've got our regular student loan, our work-study student loan, and our special student loan. Our regular student loan is for persons who wish to pursue full-time tertiary level education. If you are a permanent employee who wish to study while continuing your employment, then our work-study loan is for you. Our special student loan is in collaboration with the Government of Grenada, geared towards vulnerable persons who would like to pursue higher level education. Remember, you must have proof of admission from a recognized institution here at home or abroad. All our loans are 100% financing with interest rates as low as 5%. Get your funding from GDB today for your tertiary level education, your technical training or vocational training, even professional development, with up to 12 years to repay. Your future success is today. Grab it now.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.